breaking down Red Raider baseball like only we can. This is the Talkin Baseball podcast from Double T 97.3 and DoubleTSportsNetwork.com.
Welcome into another episode of Talkin Baseball alongside Jamie Lent. I'm Chois Woodman. This podcast, as usual, brought to you by our friends at Andrews Brothers. Jamie, not a great home opening weekend for the Red Raiders. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It wasn't great at all, but you did get your first win of the season in there, so 1-5 is better than 0-6, but still something we're just not used to around here. A slow start to the season, but you're also not used to testing yourself with two top 25 teams to open a season. So this is some serious competition Tech has played, but there are also wins you've been leaving out there.
Yeah, no question. I mean, you go to Chapel Hill and you see that team that's ranked number 6 in the country, and that pitching staff was elite. It was everything that it had been rumored to be, and it looks like they'll be one of the better pitching staffs in the nation. They were really good. Plus, their offense was really veteran and solid as well. So they really challenged Jim. UC Irvine this weekend. Not quite as good pitching, but their offense really good as well.
Legit.
And don't forget, they were missing their best player, Team USA first baseman, who is banged up. Guy who will probably be picked in the top 2 or 3 rounds this year in the draft. So that's a really good UC Irvine baseball team that the Red Raiders saw this weekend. They gave the Red Raiders everything they could handle. Really love the way that team battles at the plate, especially with 2 strikes. They've got plenty of pop. They've got everything you want in a good offense, and so it challenged the Red Raider pitching staff this weekend and the defense. But you're absolutely right, Choice. You kind of look at these games, and you can go back to Friday's loss, and you just didn't get a good. It didn't have a good day swinging the bats. You score 4 runs, but you're 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. You just can't get that big hit. And then you start getting that on Saturday where your offense gets going and you score 15 runs, and then you roll around to Sunday and you've got an opportunity with lead in 2 separate occasions to win that game, and your defense and free passes from the pitching staff just completely fail you yesterday. And so this is one of them where you want to compliment UC Irvine. I think that's fair. But you also look at yourself and say, man, we let this get away. This is on us. And that's why it's got to be really frustrating for that team.
It does feel like you're finding different ways to lose games right now. The free passes thing really hadn't been an issue for Tech up till Sunday. And obviously defense, you can't get too far into this without talking about defense. That has been an absolute Achilles heel through 6 games for Tech. You lost on Friday, as you mentioned, a lot of the hitting with runners in scoring position. Seemed like you broke out of that finally.
11 for 26 over the last 2 days. It was like 450 or something. So you'll
so there's
take,
a definite positive there.
Yeah, you'll take that all day, every day.
So, Jamie, I think this is one of those things with a team. You don't want things to slip away because you still have good competition, which we'll get into this week. So you're really testing this team out early on in the season. But I think while fans and, talking people may be a little bit in a panic mode with a 1-5 start just because that just is terrible for the aesthetics, looks terrible.
Sure.
But you did do some things well this weekend and things to build off of. It seemed like you had a better weekend overall from weekend 1 to weekend 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was good to see the offense get going first and foremost, right? You had scored 6 runs in the 3 games in Chapel Hill. You scored 4 on Fridays. You had scored a total of 10 runs through 4 games, and you were 0-4. And the last 2 days, you scored 15 and you scored 10. And you saw a lot of different guys contributing. Guys like Logan Hughes, who had been pretty quiet, he really came through for you on Saturday and Sunday. That was great to see. You're seeing a lot of different guys contributing, which I think is great, up and down that lineup. A bunch of different guys driving in runs. As a matter of fact, all 9 starters this weekend drove in a run. TJ Pompey continues to swing a really hot bat for the Red Raiders. That's great to see. Robin Villeneuve on Saturday was huge for the Red Raiders with some really clutch hits. So more guys are contributing, and that's good to see. The offense, which I think has the potential to be pretty good, is starting to show a little bit of that. Kyla Thompson, another guy who's been good with the bat and has been terrific running the bases, which is exactly what you want to see out of him. Just puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So you're getting good things there offensively. Just as it turned out on Sunday and even Saturday, the way the game finished on Saturday was sloppy defensively.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, that continued over. And then we talked about the free passes. Of the 11 runs that were scored by UC Irvine on Sunday, 7 of them reached base either via a walk, a hit by pitch, or an error. And that's just giving this team extra opportunities, extra base runners. There were 3 different innings where you had at least 3 free passes in the inning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really hard to win games.
Absolutely.
Even when your offense is scoring runs when you're playing like that. It just, and the defensive issues, it really puts extra pressure on the pitchers, makes every pitch all that much more important. So you just got to play cleaner baseball than you did on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not thinking anybody out there thinks Texas Tech would be 6-0 without self-inflicted wounds, but you probably should be a 3-3 team right now at the least if you're not shooting yourself in the foot, whether it be the free passes or the defense. What about?
But then again, we also know that if you were playing a directional school for the first 2 weekends, you
would be
5-1 and 6-0 and feeling like, hey, we don't really have any issues, and what you've kind of been exposed with your issues now, and so hopefully you can learn from that and get better for when the games really matter when you get to Big 12 play.
And ultimately, you'll be rooting for North Carolina and UC Irvine the rest of the way. So your RPI, so you get a big RPI boost off these games, and probably should do so in the near future. Look at the pitching staff, Jamie. You had a Johnny whole staff, all staff sort of game on Sunday in particular, because Siebert struggles with the start, but you get a whole lot. Finally, we get to see the depth of this bullpen, and you got kind of a mixed bag there, some good, some bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought some of the guys came in and threw really well, and I thought it was kind of a really weird deal where guys would come in a big spot, make some big pitches, get some good big outs, and then come around for the next inning and then not have it.
Yep.
Okay, I thought Jonathan Lowe came in a really tough spot and did awesome for you. That was great to see. Same thing for Will Jordan, but both of them finished out their performance struggling in their last inning. So we saw good stuff from those guys, and then bad. You mentioned that Siebert just didn't have good command yesterday. That was definitely an issue for him. Through the weekend, I thought Zach Crotchfeld was probably one of the better looking guys as far as how he threw Logan Beavis. Thought he looked great as well for the Red Raiders. So there's good. Zane Petty was another guy that continues to throw really well right now. So there's guys that are doing good things, and we still haven't seen Parker Hutera yet.
Which is crazy.
Warming up in the bullpen yesterday.
Right.
I assume the Red Raiders were keeping him to try to close that game out. You just couldn't get a lead at the end there.
Right. I guess at some point you're going to have to throw him out there, and hopefully you can get a lead in a game. Yeah, he was warming on, was it Saturday against...
And it shows you the depth that the coaching staff believes they have here, because you went the whole weekend without throwing a guy twice.
Yeah.
And you still had a really key arm in Parker Hutera in the bullpen ready that didn't throw. So you clearly have a lot of guys that they have confidence in. It's just a matter of those guys, adjusting, because there's so many new guys, and it's so many, you're on the mound of this level for the first time. I mean, Connor Mohan's another one, a freshman. He came in yesterday. He looked terrific.
He looked great at the end of the game.
Looked really good. And that was his first performance as a Red Raider. So you just got to get more consistency out of these guys at this point, and maybe getting through the first couple of weekends when they're getting their first opportunity out there, maybe they'll relax a little bit more.
So the big question with defense, Jamie, what do you do with the defense? Is there anything you can change from the first couple of weeks moving forward besides just shuffling people around? Because I think when you compare teams, there's defenses out there, obviously, that go help you win games. There's average defenses, and then there's ones that hurt you. And right now, you're in the category of hurting yourself with the defense. If you look particularly to that 8th inning on Sunday, Texas Tech hits the ball hard 3 different times, and UC Irvine goes and makes plus plays out of it. And those are obviously plays that are helping them win that baseball game in a one-run game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to get to the point where you're doing that, or at the very least, just making the simple plays, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, some of that's luck, right? Where you're just close enough to make a dive and make a play. I mean, Davian Bravo on Friday, I believe, made a diving catch in right center field that saved 3 runs. And so, I mean, that was a big-time play that kept you close in that game. But you're right. There's not been a lot of plus plays. The first play of the game on Sunday, it was a great play by Coleman Ryan, the freshman shortstop in the hole, to throw out the leadoff man, Bermudez. So that was another really good one. So there's some of that going on. But you're just, right now, you just want to make the simple ones, right?
Yeah.
And I also think you had some bad luck yesterday. I mean, ultimately, the winning run scores on a ball that looks like a simple grounder to Pompey, who's coming in, charging as he should be, in front of it, all the above. And the ball hits something and kicks up, and I mean, it looks like it's about to hit him in the face. He was lucky he didn't wear it, and ultimately that scores the winning run. So a little bit of it is just bad luck.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and it's an error, and you can question the error there. And another one where I think the winning play that we're talking about, if you have one hit to the wall in the outfield, and your outfielder kind of just bumps up against the wall, didn't kind of get the feel for where he was. A catchable ball, and they did call it an error.
Still a tough play.
Yeah, it's still a really tough play. So it's just those kind of things that I think when you're playing good teams and the margin for error is minimal, those are the plays that you need to make to win these close games. So
they're going to take advantage of your mistakes. No doubt.
And Irvine, credit them. They're obviously a really good club and did take advantage of those mistakes for Texas Tech. We will take a look towards the weekend, Jamie's party time in Vegas. But first, let's hear a word from our friends at Andrews Brothers.
When you want the brand in West Texas roofing, there's only one company to call, Andrus Brothers Roofing. Like our Red Raiders, Andrus Brothers knows that to win, you have to be better than your competition and you have to dominate in all phases. With over 40 years experience, Andrus Brothers has mastered these concepts. So when the high winds and debris damage your roof, there's only one company to call, Andrus Brothers Roofing. Accept no substitutes. Stick with the starters on the ABR winning team. Andrus Brothers Roofing, we nail it every time.
All right, Jamie. The only time you'll be partying is if Texas Tech wins, obviously. That's
pretty much how it goes.
That's how it works for Jamie. You'll be, I'm sure, while other people may find their way to casinos and restaurants, Jamie's going to be parked at the ballpark watching a lot of baseball.
That's exactly right.
In Las Vegas.
What else do you do when you go to Vegas, right? Watch college baseball.
Just watch college baseball. I'm sure that's, less than 1% of the population. But you will get to see Power 5 teams all over the place. Texas Tech plays against Illinois, which was the Big Ten champion last year, right?
Correct.
You got the Texas Longhorns. No introduction needed there. You're going to be up for that game. And then maybe the one the least people know about is the Washington Huskies that you'll play against on Sunday. So take us through what's anticipated this weekend.
Okay, so Illinois on Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time, first pitch. It's a Illinois team, like you said, was the Big Ten champ last year. They were in the NCAA postseason. For them, so far this year, they're 4-2 on the year. They basically spent the last 2 weeks in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. They played ACU down in Corpus Christi, lost in the season opener, but then bounced back, take 2 and win that series, and then played 3 in San Marcos against Texas State this weekend, lost the middle game and won that series. So 4-2 with 4 wins against teams that are not top of Division I baseball or anything like that, but they're off to a decent start this year. For the Longhorns, they're 5-1 this year. They beat up on Oklahoma State in Arlington last weekend. I believe 14-10 was the final in that one. They just played a 3-game series at home against Dartmouth. And the Longhorns scored a total of 11 runs. They scored 4, 3, and 4. They won 2 one-run games and a 4-1 game. So really interesting that those games were so close with Dartmouth at home, but they did win all 3. And like I said, they're 5-1. on the season.
Maybe the smart farts are really good at baseball this year.
Maybe
or pitching. I don't know.
Maybe they are. It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
And then the Red Raiders will move to Sunday, and they'll take on Washington. The Huskies started their year with a win over Kansas State, who's actually been playing a little bit better since then. But the Huskies, it's been a little bit of a rough go for them. They are 2-5 on the year. Washington will be the first team the Red Raiders play this season that was not in the postseason a year ago, and that's the 9th game of the season, which speaks to how tough the schedule has been for the Red Raiders. But opportunity here. I don't know if this Illinois team is as good as they were a season ago. Plus, we know baseball is not a big deal in the Big Ten. So, the Longhorns clearly will pose the biggest challenge for you on Saturday, and I believe that's a 6 o'clock Central Time first pitch on Saturday.
That's correct.
That one will be a big deal, and hopefully there'll be a big crowd there for the Red Raiders that are there to hopefully see the Red Raiders beat the Longhorns for the second consecutive time.
That would be fun. Yeah, I remember last year you were like, all right, we go out. Our last game against Texas is a win. And it's like, oh, we are scheduling them.
Yeah, we're playing them again.
We got them. So we got to get that win to leave the good taste in the mouth. So I guess for this series, what constitutes a successful trip? Is it just getting 2 out of 3 games and having a good weekend?
Yeah, that's what I would say. And taking steps forward in those areas that you need to improve upon.
Yeah.
Number 1, playing better defense. Number 2, avoiding the free passes like you had on Sunday so badly. And then you want to see the offense keep going and having a bunch of different guys contribute like you saw this weekend, but maybe a little bit more consistent across the board on all 3 days.
So what do you know about this? And I'm asking you this early in the week, so you may have not have done all your research yet. What do you know about this ballpark, the Las Vegas ballpark there? Is it
nothing at all?
Okay, so obviously these things matter for power hitting teams. Sometimes, and I don't know if you'd call Tech a power hitting team this year. You did have a successful.
I think I would. I don't think they're any different than any other years as far as they have a bunch of guys in the lineup that can hit the ball in the ballpark. I just think you've added more speed and an ability to play a little small ball a little bit more than maybe you had in some of the years past. But you look at the numbers. Already this season, TJ Pompey's got 4 homers. Hughes had 2 this weekend. You've got 3 other guys that have hit the ball in the ballpark. So, I think that matters, and that's still something that the Red Raiders kind of hang their hat on, being able to show off that power and swing for the fences at times.
According to the quick Google search, Las Vegas Aviators play there, obviously. Left field 340, 415 to dead center. Okay, so deep center field. And then right field 340 seems like a symmetrical ballpark there. So that doesn't always tell the story.
So don't hit it to center field.
It is always, there's that.
It's in a gap and then run for a while.
And this, I believe, is an open air ballpark, so it is always pretty windy in Vegas. So we'll be used to that. Maybe we have an advantage with the Levikites here. But want to see improvement in several areas, obviously, Jamie, and hopefully we get to see that. A couple of wins, maybe 3. 3 would be nice.
3 would be awesome.
I don't want to get greedy, but make one of them against the Longhorns, and I'll be pretty happy.
Just want to see the teams, be a little bit more consistent in all areas of the game. I think that's what you're going after here. On the other side of that, you got Grand Canyon coming up the next weekend, and that's another really good team. You've got some midweek games coming up. Finally, be the first for the Red Raiders, and so. You want to play well and kind of take some momentum away from that and start putting some wins on the board. 1-5 is a little bit ugly at this point.
It does look ugly. So, getting a couple of wins in one weekend would definitely go a long way. Last thing as we wrap up, do you expect any sort of changes to rotation, to lineup? Obviously, one big thing we didn't even touch on, no Antonelli Savateri all weekend. That was kind of odd after seeing him play quite a bit against North Carolina. So what's, I guess, adjustments could we see the lineup like that?
Yeah, and I'm sure Coach Tadlock, part of that is you put a guy in, right, as especially as a freshman or a new player or whatever, you don't want to just put him in for one game and say, okay,
Right.
hey, this is your first time, better go kill it your first outing, or you're going to be back to the bench. You want to give a guy a weekend to kind of see what they can do. And so you had Coleman Ryan and you had Kendall Johnson out there this weekend, one at short and one at center. And I thought both of them performed decently well, both offensively and defensively. There were some miscues there, but overall I think it was good to see them out there for the first time. And so I think Coach Tadlock's going to continue to tweak early on in the season, maybe even late in the season. If one guy's playing better than another, I think he's not afraid to make changes. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Salvatore back out there this weekend. I was a little bit surprised we didn't see more of him and or Davis Rivers this weekend, especially with 3 right-handed starters. You know, I get you're playing a team in UC Irvine that likes to run, and so you want your best thrower back there in Dylan Maxey, and Maxey was good doing that. But at the same time, Rivers, who love that left-handed power bat, and maybe surprised he didn't get at least one of those starts as a DH in one of those games. So possibly Davis, I'm not sure if he was under the weather or banged up or whatever. Either way, I would expect to see those guys back in the mix soon.
There you go. Red Raiders heading to Las Vegas. We will try to make sure Jamie gets to the ballpark for all 3 games and doesn't go too crazy at the casinos.
I bet that I will be there on time all 3 games.
I would guess that's probably the case. Look, but you heard him. He's already starting to bet, so watch out.
I was wondering if you caught that.
Watch out. All right, we appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully a little bit of a happier one next week with a few more wins and maybe a winning weekend. For Jamie Lent, I'm Chois Woodman. You've been tuned in to Talkin Baseball, part of the Double T Sports Network.
Breaking down Red Raider baseball like only we can. This is the Talkin Baseball podcast from Double T 97.3 and DoubleTSportsNetwork.com.